All right, guys, how's everybody doing? Here with another college football podcast. I got my boy here, Tadre Thomas, who's going to be talking SEC football this week. On our last show, we did just a national thing where we talked about a lot of schools. We're going to kind of dedicate this one strictly to the SEC. The first thing that I want to do is thank Brother Kenneth Roberts for allowing us to actually air this on his television network, which is WGOX. That's channel 43 in Mobile and Pensacola on basic TV if you have an antenna. Also on Roku, you would just search the Life Television Network, and it's also available on Roku and will also be available on YouTube. So we're going to talk SEC today, and the first thing that people wanted to know basically is who we think is going to take the East and the West. I'll let you start that one off. I don't think it's no.
Oh man, West, as far as the West goes, it's Alabama, man. You got to beat them. Yeah. To be honest, I think Texas A&M is getting a little closer than what everybody wants to give them credit for. But in order to beat them, you got to beat Nick Saban,
right?
And his assistants, people who've coached under him, they just can't do it. They can't do it.
I agree.
So I don't think. I think Bama takes it again, even with them losing the two linebackers. I still think they'll take it.
That's one thing where recruiting counts for a lot.
Yes,
that's the one thing Nick Saban doesn't have any problem doing is going to somebody's house and telling them why they should get 5-star talent to come to Alabama. So they'll have some young linebackers, some freshmen, a couple of freshmen I think are going to be taking their place. But I mean, they'll be ready. I mean Nick Saban to get them ready. And you have those early games, against Duke and where they can kind of get their feet wet and everything. And once they get ready for that SEC competition, I think they'll be fine. Yeah. So I agree. I think Alabama takes the West. And in the East, I mean Georgia.
You gotta. They returned one of the best offensive lines. Yep. They got 4 returning starters. Mm-hmm. You got a 3-year starter in Jake Fromm.
Yeah. Who's underrated? I think it's underrated. People don't talk about him enough.
He's very underrated.
Yeah, I think he doesn't have the strongest arm, but there were 2 5-star quarterbacks that came in since he's been there, and he ran both of them up. So he does something right. So Georgia's going to be tough. They're going to have probably the best running back, one of the best running backs in the country as well, in DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is a beast as well. I look at him to be a finalist for the Heisman this year. So and as far as in that division, I don't really see anyone. I mean, Kentucky gave him a run last year. Kentucky had 1 loss in the division last year. Mm-hmm. But they lost some of their. They had Josh Allen last year, who was a beast off the edge, edge rusher, and he's gone. So
lost a good running back.
Yeah. So that it'll be tough for them to repeat that. So I don't really even see. I can see Georgia going undefeated.
Oh yeah.
Up to the SEC championship game.
Florida, I don't see Florida really giving them a run because from what I seen the other night between them and Miami. You had an opportunity with a freshman quarterback for Miami to blow that thing open.
Right.
And to be honest, I just don't have much faith in Felipe Franks.
Right. He was decent at the end of last year. Been throwing the interceptions, but he threw 2 or 3, I think, against Miami. So you want him to kind of take another step as far as in that. They have a good running back. They have a very dominant defensive line. They sacked that poor freshman 10 times last week. And he didn't have a shot. He couldn't throw the ball. And I think they said he was rushed or hurried like 65% of the plays that he dropped back. So, you ain't got time to do nothing. It's hard to win. And they still came very close to beating them. So, I understand what you're saying as far as Florida's concerned. But Georgia's just, they're the cream of the crop on that side.
And mind you, we talked about Georgia. We talked about the offense. We ain't said anything about
the defense. And the defense is tough.
Yeah,
defense is going to be very tough. Defense. Next to Alabama, Georgia probably has, and I can't even say next to, side by side, man for man, they're right there. So they're gonna cause a lot of havoc next year. I see them being undefeated going into the SEC championship, Alabama may have a loss. I think they'll still make, because I think Alabama's just in a tougher division. I mean, Texas A&M is going to be tough. LSU is always right there, a quarterback away. You never know. One of them can snake bite them, but I still think that Alabama will win that division, go into the SEC championship, and then win the SEC championship, in my opinion.
I think for Alabama to win it, Tua's got to be healthy. You can't lose too many more people on defense.
Cannot.
You cannot do it.
Cannot, especially when you lose them right in the middle. Those middle linebackers like that. That's a tough. That's the captain of your defense. That usually is Dylan Moss was definitely the captain of that defense.
He was.
So that's the big loss. So hopefully they can replace him and keep it moving. But that's going to be a tough position to fill. But yeah, I do think that Alabama wins the SEC championship in a tough game. It's Kirby Smart always plays them tough. But I need Kirby Smart to make better decisions at the end of football games.
Yeah, can he beat him though?
Can he beat him? He's always right there. I think in the last 2 games they had double-digit leads, and then they can't hold it. They can't hold it for some reason. Kirby just always seems to make a decision and you leave you scratching your head. Like, why would you go for a fake punt right there? A fake field goal or something like that in that position. So I think that I think Alabama pulls that out in that division and goes on to the Final Four and in my opinion wins the national championship this year. But the SEC is always going to be tough. That's where the biggest competition comes from. So I think tried and true, those 2 teams will be there. Yep.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think if the loser of the championship game, do you think they get in?
Very good chance. If things fall the way I think they're going to fall, which is I think Alabama gets to the SEC championship with 1 loss. I think Georgia goes undefeated, but loses the SEC championship game, which is similar to what happened, I want to say, what happened a couple of years ago when they both made the national championship. Yeah. And I think there's a very high chance that Alabama and Georgia both go to the playoff. I think that can definitely, I don't think they want that to happen, but if you want the best 4 teams, that's just kind of how I thought.
But it didn't happen last year, so.
It didn't happen last year, but I think the teams that got in deserve to be there. I think they deserve to be there. I mean, it wasn't really the one you could take out and say, hey, let's replace them with Georgia or last year. So it's just one of the things. But I think right now, undeniably, Georgia has the best offensive line in the country, have one of the top defenses in the country, and you have one of the best running backs in the country, and a very consistent quarterback. I mean, you got everything there to pull it off. But I think when it comes down to it, I think Tua stays healthy. That's the big caveat. Tua stays healthy, Alabama wins. Yeah. And when I say healthy, I don't mean just playing. I mean healthy. I mean he came, because he'll try to play hurt, but he's not the same quarterback when he's hurt. He doesn't make those plays when he's hurt. So I think that's a good thing. What do you think? You think both of those teams can make the playoff?
I don't think so. To be honest, I think a lot of people are thinking that Oklahoma's not gonna, do anything. But you got to think they have Jalen Hurts. They have a quarterback who's 26-2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and he's going to a league that
doesn't play much defense.
They don't play no defense. So I think they'll make it in. Mm-hmm. I believe either Michigan or Ohio State will make it in. Mm-hmm. And of course, Clemson, I believe they're going to make it in.
Right. I think Clemson is easy. Yeah. And they're about to play a little bit. But I think Clemson blows out Georgia Tech tonight by 40. Yeah. Now the thing with Oklahoma, and I picked Texas to actually beat Oklahoma.
Oh. Okay.
Reason being, I love Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. But he's different. He's not the same type of quarterback that Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield are. He is different. He has a different play type. He likes to run. Even though those two could run, neither one of them could run like Jalen Hurts can run with power. Murray has a lot of speed, but Jalen is a running back. When he comes out of the pocket, he's a running back. But I don't know if Jalen can spin it like either one of those guys. He can spin it, He can spend it.
Yeah, but
He don't spend like Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield spends it. So with that, I think that just that dynamic change and the fact that Oklahoma's defense, you never know, they may be decent, but they don't really play a whole lot of defense either. I think the Texas quarterback, Esslinger, would take advantage of that because he's a good quarterback as well at Texas. I think he takes them over the top this year. And I think Michigan takes Ohio State this year. I like Michigan. So it's going to be interesting. But back to the SEC.
Yeah.
All right. So those are picks for as far as the division is concerned. Now we're going to actually talk about some of the players that we're looking to either break out this year or just important players to their teams this year for the success of their teams. Who do you like?
For me, starting off, I'm looking at Kellen Mond. I'm thinking he's going to be a breakout year. This is going to be his third year. Second year under Fisher.
Right.
He's got last year he had 3,000 yards,
right.
24 touchdowns. I just think he gets better from that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kellen Mond is right there. This year he's going to put himself into that echelon with Tua and some of the other top quarterbacks in that conference. One of the guys that I'm looking at, and he may not have a breakout, but I think he's going to be important to the team's success, is Bo Nix at Auburn. He's one of the quarterbacks. Auburn brought in a freshman that was supposed to be the starter, that they expected to be the starter, but Bo Nix held him off, and they named him the starter.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, that's saying a lot because they brought this guy in to play, and so Bo Nix is very important to Auburn's success. They got some pretty good wide receivers, got a lot of speed on the outside. If Bo Nix can get it to him, that could mean the difference between Auburn having 2 or 3 losses or having 5 or 6 losses. Which in that case you're either playing in a big bowl game or you're playing in the GMAC bowl. Yeah. So I think he's an important player. Another player that we're gonna look that we all know. Actually, I'm just gonna do 2 because the wide receivers at Alabama. The 2 that I'm thinking about, Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy may be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft next year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think he's right there with Calvin Ridley and Amari Cooper and those guys that came out of Alabama. He's that next one, and he may be better than all of them.
Yes, he's Heisman worthy.
He's Heisman worthy. And but underrated under him, I think it's Henry Ruggs. I love Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs, he gets the ball. He's like a running back. He's not avoiding nobody. He blocks downfield. He takes people head on. So, which could hurt him because he's not that big. But but his mind, I love his mindset when he's playing. So those are 2 guys I say to look out for. I think they help Tua go to the next level this year with those wide receivers. Who else you got?
I got DeAndre Swift next. Like I said earlier, he's returning 4 starters on the offensive line. Oh, yeah. You got a great quarterback, and that's been there. Your coach is great. You got a good defense. I just think he's gonna come out and do his thing. Yeah, he had 1,000 yards last year.
And that was with Elijah Holyfield with him.
And I'm just looking at the way he kind of, to me, I look at everything by how you play against Alabama.
Right.
Top tier talent.
You have to.
And he was, especially in that first half, he
carried his own. He did. He did. DeAndre Swift is the only, and I picked DeAndre Swift to be in the Heisman discussion. And then, I think it's going to be great. The only thing that you will look out for with him is the fact that, okay, he's toting rock this year.
Yeah,
it's not that thunder and lightning. Elijah Holyfield come in and then Swift come in, and the alternate. He's going to have to tote the load. I mean, I'm sure they got. I mean, Georgia like Alabama, they're going to have talent. They got other running backs, but he's going to be the one that carries the load. And if he carries, he'll put up 15. He can put up 1,500 yards rushing, and then he's great on screens as well. You get him out on the screen, he take it to the house as far as that's concerned too. So Georgia's going to be tough all the way around, to be honest with you. But I do like DeAndre Swift. Got anybody else?
Next I'm gonna go defense. I'm looking at Raekwon Davis. You talking about 6'7", 300 pounds, and can move. This is him in his 3rd year. I'm thinking he's got a chip on his shoulder, because they've been saying he's underperformed in the last few years.
because other people, he was always kind of picked to be like Quentin Williams came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Quentin Williams, it was supposed to be Raekwon Davis, and Quentin Williams kind of came in and dominated, and but I mean, there's no doubt Raekwon Davis has talent. He's huge, and like you say, he can move. He should be dominant. And Alabama every year they have a lineman or two, defensive lineman or two that comes out of nowhere and takes over. So that's a good one. I like Raekwon Davis a lot. I think he's going to definitely be a dominant player.
He's got to be.
Yeah, he's got to be.
Without him in the middle,
he's got to be.
You got two freshman linebackers starting, or that they say is projected to be starting.
Right.
You got to have. He's going to have to man that. Him and I'm hearing good things about DJ Dale. So those guys, they're going to have to man this ship and
and at least hold it down and take over some games until those guys get their feet wet and can just fill in for that. And which I still think Dylan Moses is still gonna be a first round draft pick next week. Even he's hurt. I mean, he was. I felt like he was gonna be the best defensive player in the country this year. I mean, with all that talent, he's just and when you got Raekwon Davis taking on blocks, all he got to do is run around and make tackles.
Yes. Make
plays. That was one. So hopefully someone can step in and fill that void. Which I'm expecting. I don't expect anything less from that. So another player I like, I'm gonna go with Tony from, I can't think of his first name, but Tony from Florida. Okay. He showed a lot in that game. He's very explosive. And the thing is, I think Perine starts. I think Tony is like the guy that comes in, but when he comes in, he makes plays. I want to say he averaged about 6 or 7 yards a carry last year for Florida, who really didn't have much of a when I say not much of a passing game, not what you expect from Florida. Florida's known for their passing game, but they kind of had to change things up. And if Felipe Franks can keep teams honest, then Tony will be explosive.
I think Tony can be kind of like your Solomon Patton, your who was that back in the day that had Perkins,
and Rainey.
Yeah, just that guy who can, you can do your little swing passes, trick plays with, get him in space, and go to it 4 or 5 times a game.
Right. You keep him honest, and then you use that, and then take something out of deep, fake it, and
even some Wildcat stuff.
Do some Wildcat stuff with him. Yeah, he's explosive. I watched him. I was very impressed with him the other night against Miami. So I mean, those are some players that we think you should definitely look out for. Is that a team that you think that can? I think we're pretty confident in who we think is going to win. But is there anybody you think that could snake bite one of those teams and sneak in? Kentucky came very close last year. Came very close. They had one loss, but nobody expected Kentucky to do what they did.
And I don't think Kentucky I think they're a growing program, but for them to do it consistently year after year after year, I just don't see that. What I've seen over the years in the ACC, you'll have teams like Vanderbilt that have a good year, but they just don't. They can't recruit. On the level that Alabama or Georgia. To get over that hump. Right. But to be honest, Florida defensively, they can do it. They're very
10
tough.
Sacks in one game.
And that's hard to do.
That's hard to do on a video game.
Yeah, it is. So I think Florida can be that team that can really give Georgia.
That can give them a fight this year. I agree. And they're in the top 10. I mean, Florida is in the top 10. They're ranked number 8. And I want to say they went down. I think they dropped to number 9 some way. I don't know how that happened, but when you have humans doing it, things happen. But a team that's usually pretty good, but hadn't been getting a lot of recognition as of yet, is LSU. Yeah. LSU is always tough. LSU is always a quarterback away from making things happen, and they returned their quarterback. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Morrow, I think his name is. He was a transfer. Burrow. He can throw it. He can sling it. He can run. He just. I think this year will be a big year for him, because if he steps up and becomes a quarterback that can do what the other quarterbacks at LSU haven't been able to do since Jamarcus Russell. To be honest with you. You know, they've had Leonard Fournette. You think about Darius Geis. You think about the guys at Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham. You know, they've had tons of talent come through there, but just haven't had a quarterback to kind of take them over the edge and do that. If Burrow can do that, then LSU can beat anybody. I mean, talent wise, they have a but it's one of the things you got to show me. You know, I need to see him do it. But if he can step up and lead that team, LSU can bite. Defensively, they're always tough. They keep speed. They keep speed at the linebacking core. The Devin White last year, who first round draft pick for the Buccaneers this year. They keep speed, and they actually have a defensive back. You guys forgive me, I'm terrible with names, but I know what I'm talking about. They have a safety who's going to wear. You know, historically LSU puts number 7 on their best defensive player. He's going to be wearing number 7 this year. He was number 9 last year, but he's like a 6'3" safety that flies all around the field. I mean, I can't think of his name, but y'all just look for number 7 this year for LSU. He's going to be making some big plays for them on defense. He's a ball hawk. So as far as that's concerned, I think LSU will be that team that can jump up and bite Alabama, and they'll be right there.
Yeah, to me, it's Texas A&M though.
Texas A&M.
I think it's Texas A&M.
Yeah.
With Kelly Mond being there, his 3rd year, I think Texas A&M really wants to get back to that rivalry that we had when they first came into the conference.
Right, Manziel
the Manziel thing. I think they're itching for that.
Right,
and I am too, because I'm even though I am an Alabama fan, but I love competition.
Right, right. You want to see some good games. Yeah. You want your team to pull it out, but Texas A&M will be tough. Mond is y'all look out for that name because he'll work himself into a top draft pick, especially if he puts up some numbers against Alabama, which he's done. I want to say, you know, even though I can't remember what the score was, but I remember Mond making some big runs in that game.
I think they put up close to 28 points or something like that.
I remember Mond being very effective against Alabama, and he had that great game with that marathon game. Was that against LSU? Where they went to like eight overtimes or something crazy like that, and that, you know. So Mond has talent. Mond is going to be really good. So I look at him as a top tier quarterback. And also you have Kelly Bryant at Missouri. Now they're on probation, so they won't be able to go to any bowl games. But and I don't know how that goes as far as awards and things like that. But I mean, he showed what he could do at Clemson. He's a very talented quarterback. He's going to put up some rushing yards. He's going to, you know, he can throw. I don't know if he made the best decision. I mean, I think that's why Trevor Lawrence replaced him, because Trevor Lawrence was just more of a dynamic passer of the ball. But Kelly Bryant can throw the ball, but I don't know against SEC competition.
Yeah,
will that be? You know,
that's gonna be the tough one. But to be honest, in my opinion, the Clemson Alabama game last year, I think if Clemson with him playing, I think Kelly Bryant, they still would have beat this last year.
Yeah, Alabama just did not show up. They did not show up for you know. Tua wasn't 100%. You know, in my opinion, I probably would have felt better with Jalen in the game.
Yeah.
After a while, after that first half, and you saw that, you know, Tua just didn't have it. He didn't have it. I would have went ahead and put Jalen in there and said, "Hey, do what you got to do."
But Kelly Bryant, though, he will not have near the talent that he had at Clemson.
Yeah, of course not. Right.
Wide receivers, offensive line, running backs, or even coaching, all around, he's at a whole nother level.
Right.
A tier down to me.
A tier down.
So
as far as talent on his team, but why I think he's going to put up some rushing numbers. I mean, he's going to do a lot of run, pass option, a lot of RPO, you know, and you know, he likes to keep it. So I could see him putting up some, you know, 500-600 yards rushing, maybe even more. And my friend that we did the video with before, he thinks Kelly will be in the Heisman race.
Wow.
I don't think I would go that far with him being in the Heisman race, but I think he's going to put up numbers simply because he doesn't have the talent that he had at Clemson. So he's going to put up a bunch of rushing numbers, probably put up a bunch of rushing touchdowns, and somebody may step up. The one thing Missouri always that they lost their best wide receiver from last year, who would have been there, but they have a couple of guys that are decent, but they're not the Clemson wide receivers that they've had in the past. So it's going to be tough for him, but I think he'll be a player to watch this year. Got anything else? We got anything else on it?
I don't see anybody else doing it. I do think Bama gets a loss, like you say.
Yeah.
Because they got a stretch where you got to play LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi State always plays them tough.
Always plays them tough, no matter what. Mississippi State can have 0 wins. They're going to play Alabama tough.
They are. And you don't know what's going to happen in the Auburn game. You just don't know.
Yeah.
They come to play us every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2 years ago, Auburn beat?
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago? I mean, that's the game that they just come for. That's when you throw out the records. It don't matter what the record is in that game. Somebody that's always an upset brewing. Always something crazy happened. Kick six a few years back. Just stuff happens in that game. You can't explain.
And for all we know, Bo Nix might have a game of his life.
Might have a game of his life.
We've seen that happen.
We've seen that happen. We've seen that happen.
Bad Bo.
Yeah.
It's Ole Miss. It's happened.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. But even with Clemson last year, somebody gets hot against Alabama. And it's just
somebody gets hot, is it? Because Alabama plays a lot of man. So if you can, because of the pass rush being so good, Alabama depends on that pass rush to get there. And if somebody can dink and dunk and get a few yards and kind of open them up and slow that pass rush down, then you never know. Yeah. You never know what can happen. So that's gonna be a great year. It's gonna be a very interesting year with all the transfers all over the country. With all the transfers, Justin Fields at Ohio State. Blake Martell at Miami, that went to Miami. He's a backup, but he actually played some receiver last week. But it's going to be very, very interesting. So I do appreciate everybody else tuning in. If you have any questions or anything, please send emails to my email, themancavechris@gmail.com. Again, this is my friend Tadre. We appreciate him coming in. We'll have him on again. Very informative information from the young man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So we look forward to doing this again. And y'all have a great year. Great, interesting year for college football ahead. All right.